Oh my goodness. Well, I lost two children, two children before my first one. I was divorced twice.
How did you lose
Um,
your two children?
well, I got pregnant and lost them. The
Oh,
first
I
one
see.
I had septicemia, and the second one there
Okay.
was another condition, so I couldn't keep them.
Yeah. Oh,
And
sorry about that.
yeah, so it was sad, but I got over it. And then I had another beautiful son, and then I moved overseas. I lived in Southeast Asia for 12 and a half years. And that's where I really started to become aware of spirituality.
So
And that
why did you go to Southeast Asia?
my ex-husband was a power engineer for Mobil Oil.
Okay.
And we went over there, and I was teaching there. I coached the swimming program and taught the swimming program for two international schools for all the grades. So I taught, and I was very involved in community and theater, and served on the boards of directors in all the schools that I was in.
Right.
So it was
Oh,
fun.
so
I loved it.
so that's why you traveled. Okay. And so you
Yeah.
said you divorced twice.
I
Um,
divorced twice, yes.
so what happened the first time?
The first time I married a childhood friend, a boy my parents had known my whole life that I knew. He was 5 years older than me, and actually, he was nearly 6 years older than me when I think about it. And I knew him just as this really fun, great older boy. And he told me when I was 9 years old that we were going to be married someday, that it was in the cards, he said.
And the
And
cards.
he was from a Russian Polish background, and his mother was very spiritual, and they would say things like in the cards or things like that. So I think maybe secretly she did tarot or something. I don't know, but they would speak that way, and I always loved it. But knowing him as a childhood friend and then marrying him after, he was away at school and then away working, and I was still in junior high and high school. And when I was 16, he came back and said, okay, now you're dating me, and then we're getting married when you're 18. And
Wow.
I just did it. Because it felt like what I was born to do. I can't explain it any other way. But
Right.
once I was married, I found out that he was not the man, certainly not the boy, and certainly not the man that I thought he would be. And it was an abusive, a very, very verbally and physically abusive relationship. And
So so
I
then
was young and smart, and I left.
how did you get the strength to leave?
I, I, something in me told me that if I didn't leave, I would die.
Wow.
Like a voice literally said, leave or die. And so I left. And it was brutal. I mean, it was the middle of winter. I had nothing except the clothes on my back. I went to his mother's. He came looking for me. I went to his sister's. My parents were no longer living in the province. Um, I hid in her attic for Christmas while they were all downstairs having Christmas, because they couldn't be seen to have me there. It would have caused a huge problem with him.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
eventually, we just he stopped harassing me and left me alone. And so then I missed the companionship of having somebody, because my parents and family were gone. And I was dating a little bit, but I met a young guy, and he was the exact opposite of my first husband. He was studious, he was quiet, equally as handsome. I didn't fall for homely boys. And but very, very different. And I thought, okay, this is a quiet, educated, get her done kind of guy. I'm going to be safe here, and I don't have to look anymore. And we got married, and we had children. um, and it just grew, and we went overseas, and then we both grew, but we grew in opposite directions. We couldn't relate to each other anymore. He had golden handcuffs. I wanted to explore more of life and the reality of the cultures of overseas, and he really wasn't interested in that.
Right.
And we parted ways. I came back to Canada. We got divorced under very, very painful circumstances. It was a betrayal of friendship on every level, and
Wow.
it destroyed me. That took me to the bottom. I wanted to die. I thought of killing myself. I thought of suicide. And the only thing that kept me from not doing it is because I couldn't figure out how my kids would get my insurance if it was a suicide. Because back then, if you were a suicide, your insurance was null and void. You
Right.
couldn't get insurance. And your children would certainly never get anything. And I had no faith in the circumstances that my husband was in at the time, that the children would be looked after. And my children were older. My son was a young adult, but my daughter was still in high school. And it was just, okay, I'd launched a business. And I had launched the business under false assumptions. There was all kinds of intrigue and ugliness involved in that. I was kind of duped into buying this business, and I trusted my husband and the people, but really it was setting me up for the fall. And when the fall came, I fell hard. And I remember sitting on the stairs in my little house out in the country thinking, I don't have the courage to hang myself. I couldn't stand that image. If I take pills, they'll know I took pills. So I thought, I'll go out to the Old Man River Dam and I'll just go swimming, because everybody knew I would go out to the dam and I would swim for miles because I was a swimmer. Like,
Right.
you're a sprinter, I was a swimmer. So
Awesome.
I would
My son is a swimmer, so that's cool.
so I thought, well, I'll just swim, and it's pretty cold outside, but people would know I would swim in this water anyway, and they'll just think I got cold and tired and didn't make it. So I was
Yeah.
on my way to do that. My daughter was safely out at the coast with my mother and sister. My son had gone to college in the States. And I thought, this is it. I can just disappear under the water and it'll all be over. I won't have to think it again. And I started driving out to the lake, and I sat on the lake, and my heart was just so full. And I can't even explain this. I called a friend and I said, come and see me. Come and see me. And she came, she drove out, she sat there. And she said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I was gonna drown. And she said, oh my God, did you really think your kids would believe that you would drown? You save
Yeah.
people. So, and that was relatively true, because I had just got the Lieutenant Governor, Alberta Lieutenant Governor's Award for heroism, for
Wow.
saving two people in a lake. Yeah.
So you saved two people in the lake, and then you're thinking of committing suicide by drowning.
Yeah.
They're not going to
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't say I was smart. If I'd been thinking in my own right mind, I would have been thinking it at all.
It's funny. It's a very serious topic, but yeah, we can laugh at the fact that you
Yeah.
didn't commit suicide because you're here, Donna. You're here.
Yeah.
Thank
And,
God for that.
then I threw myself into my business. I threw myself into my town, but I didn't go looking for woo-woo. And then I got outed by another psychic, who somebody asked me to go with them to see this woman. And the minute I walked in, she said, you know everything I'm going to say. You know exactly what's happening here. You know who's standing here right beside me. And I was shaken to my core, because nobody had ever told me that they could see what I could see,
Wow.
and hear what I hear. And it was a kind of a pivotal moment for me. But again, I was a businesswoman. I was respected in the town. I was on the business development committee for the Chamber of Commerce. I couldn't go hang a shingle out and say, I'm your travel agency owner and manager, and I am also a psychic medium. Let me talk to your grandma who died 6 years ago.
Yes, definitely.
So it was kind of a,
Double life.
yeah, a double life. I was Superman without the cape,
Right.
and
Exactly.
not the muscles.
Right. So when did you find the strength to say, this is who I am, and world, accept it or don't?
Um, I think it was, I had two really miraculous, what I call angelic saves, where I was literally, my car was physically moved and witnessed being moved in a way that nobody that witnessed it, let alone myself in the car, could understand. I was saved twice from certain death. I had had 3 near-death experiences in my life, where I had died and crossed over and come back. But these were, I'm not dying, I'm alive, I'm behind the wheel of my car, and I'm about to die in an accident, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. And literally, In one case, my car was literally picked up and moved over 2 lanes in the highway. On another, I was coming down a really icy underpass coming off of a lane on Highway 2 going south at Fort McLeod, where you go down to go to Waterton. I was doing that underpass to go to the Crow's Nest Pass. And there was a big double semi in front of me, and he jackknifed halfway down the underpass, and it was so icy, he started sliding toward me. And we had probably 7 feet of snow in this great big huge overhanging ditch. And I was heading, this was coming straight at me. There was no place for me to go except there or into the concrete wall or sail out into oblivion. And literally my car started, it hit me and my car started sailing off the highway. And I'm thinking, here I go. And I'm waiting, you know, for angel something to happen. Here, where are the guardians that come in?
Right.
But I know I'm alive. I can feel everything. And suddenly it was silent. You know, like when you're in an electric car and you can't hear anything? It
Total
was
silence.
silent. And my car was just sailing, and literally it sailed out over the medium, and it very gently did a 360, came back, and ended up being sat down on the highway directly beside the cab of the semi driver. He had gotten out, he had run to the road. My car literally went around him, and he followed it like this, turning in a circle. And
Wow.
I sat down, and he came over and he said, I know what I just saw. I don't know how I saw what I saw. I don't know how it happened, but there is no way in the world you can explain how your car made a 360-degree circle and came back and landed in the right direction on the road.
Wow. Well, you know, it wasn't meant for you to die that day.
Not my time.
It wasn't your time.